Hi, this is Rabbi Chaim Kaufman. Welcome to our 282nd installment in the Torah portion of the week. We are holding by Parshat Behar Bechukotai, and again a double parsha because we want to finish up the Torah by Simchat Torah, i.e., to finish reading the Torah in 1 year. So certain parshas are doubled up. This is the parsha that's normally doubled up, and Parshat Behar speaks about Shemitah, speaks about the sabbatical year, speaks about the Jubilee year. Speaks about redemption of the lands, the Levite cities, preventing poverty, a Jewish slave, etc. And Parshat Bechukotai, all about the curses, right? The miracle, the blessing, the curse, and all about the curses, etc. So the Torah says, chapter 25, verse 40. Says, like a laborer or a resident shall he be with you to the Jubilee year, he shall work with you. Yeah, so in other words, first going to be a slave, right? There'll be a slave till the Jubilee year, and then once the Jubilee year comes, what happens? He goes free, right? He's going to go free. So, what do we see? We see that when it gets close to the Jubilee year, right, he's going to get freed, right? You're gonna free him over here, and the closer you get to the Jubilee year, what's his value? Less. His value is going to be much less. Why? Because again, he's going to be freed. He's going to be let go over here. Now, if you redeem him when there are a lot of years, it's still left until the Jubilee year, what's going to happen? His value goes down. Right? Seemingly, his value is going to go down. It comes on the Chaim. Says Mari Rebbe, Arav Agon, Ramosh Luther should be well. And he brings down in Tam Vadas, his commentary on Chumash, and he brings down the name of the Chofetz Chaim. The Chofetz Chaim said, there's a power to wonder. It's a wonder over here that what? How can a person say that the merit of our mitzvahs and some of our merits are going to bring the Geula, going to bring the redemption closer, going to bring the Messiah closer? Previous generations, not that way. Right? Previous generations, they didn't have the ability to bring the Messiah. So how can it be? How can it be, the Chofetz Chaim says, in our generation? In our generation, we're going to be able to bring the Messiah. Right? How is that going to be? Right? We're much weaker. Generations much weaker. Yeah, so he asks, if the generations before were much greater, they weren't able to bring the Messiah or hasten the bringing of the Messiah, how can we do it? Right? We're like donkeys compared to them. Yeah. We're not even animals. We're barely animals compared to the greater generation. So Chofetz Chaim asks, where's the merit going to come from? How are we going to have any merit to bring the Messiah or hasten to bring the redemption quicker if the reality is we're not as great or we're much less greater? No question, right? The Chofetz Chaim here says, the Rebbe here says that we're going to answer. We're going to answer the Chofetz Chaim over here. And that is that God can bring the end, can bring us out of darkness. And through our mitzvahs, through our fastidiousness of keeping the mitzvahs, we're able to bring the redemption closer and quicker. So the reality is, if there's a lot of time, there are many years until really the Messiah comes. So then the Jewish people need a lot of mitzvahs. They need a lot of merit over here in order to be redeemed. And we haven't reached that. We haven't merited that up until then. But in the last generation, we're very close. Everyone agrees we're living in the generation before the Messiah. Right? These are the generations before the Messiah. In the Messianic era. So already very close. So since we're very close, and the Messiah is standing right by the walls of the gate. He's right there. Right? We're not that far away. That means the redemption is close. So therefore, we don't have to do that much. Meaning, if the redemption is far away, and many, many years, then we have a lot to do. We have a lot of obligations. We have a lot of merits to bring out. But if we're very close, we're really in striking distance, then we don't have to do that much. So we don't have to be on that grade of a level. We need to, pull our weight a little bit in order to bring the Messiah. Therefore, he says that if we increase and strengthen ourselves in mitzvahs and ma'asim tovim and do mitzvahs according to what we're supposed to do, that's enough. That's enough to bring us from slavery to freedom. Right? To bring us to redemption. Right? That's what he means over here. In other words, by the Jubilee year, the slave is going to go free. So if there's many years before, it's going to have to wait a long time to become free. Right? But if it's very close, if it's only a few years, right? So his value, right? What's going to happen to his value? Right? His value sort of goes down. Because if it's going according to his years, and he had many years, value's different. That's why the Chofetz Chaim says and asks the question, talking about value of what we do, value of our actions. Right? And we think, which is true, we think we're living in this cream puff generation, as Kaufman would say. So our actions we don't think matter, or shouldn't have that great impact. Why not? Because we know who we are. We know what our limitations are. And even if we know what our limitations are, we're still in the generation right before the Messiah comes. Mind-boggling. Why should that be? We shouldn't have that merit, the Chofetz Chaim says. And very simply, why not? Because we're not as great. We're not close to the previous generation. So Chofetz Chaim asks, if the previous generations couldn't do it, how can we do it? So Rebbe answers, yeah, the previous generations did a lot more. They pulled their weight a lot more than we did. So therefore, they brought things much closer. The fact that we're living in this generation now, we brought it even closer. That means my actions, I don't need great actions. I need enough actions, enough merit in order to tip the scale. In order that we can hasten the redemption. We're going to say, who am I? Why should I think my actions matter? Obviously, Rav Chaim Volozhin, famous student of Chofetz Chaim, famous student of the Vilna Gaon, Rav Elijah Vilna, he thought otherwise. His book, Nefesh HaChaim, Soul of Life, brings out at the very beginning, don't think our actions don't matter. Our actions matter. We see by the fact that Adam and Eve ate from the tree. They ate from the tree, they messed up all the spiritual worlds without getting into Kabbalah. They brought death to the world. They absolutely brought death to the world. Right? So we think, okay, that was a big action. But Chaim of Volozhin is telling you, don't think for 1 second that, what I do doesn't matter. These are repercussions for all times. Right? There's so many things we have to go through. But everyone agrees we're in the generation before the Messiah. We're in the Messianic era. A lot of signs to show that. That being the case, we just have to survive. We just have to do enough mitzvahs to push it over the scale, push it to one side. But we don't need to do what our ancestors had to do. They did that, and they hastened things tremendously. We, a weak generation, we're riding on their coattails. We're absolutely riding on their coattails. The person will say, come on. Is it really true? In this cream puff generation, our actions can really bring the Messiah? Answer is yes. Even what previous generations couldn't have done. They did a lot. They brought us up to this point. So if they brought us up to this point, I don't need that much. I don't really need to do much at all. Right? Not me. The generation itself. All we have to do is enough mitzvahs, enough good deeds, helping others, keeping what we need to keep in order for the Messiah to come. But that in no way is a contradiction. It's not that all previous generations, they weren't able to bring it. How can we bring it? Because they did a lot of the hard work. They did most of the work itself. We ourselves are on their coattails. We're standing on their coattails. So we have the ability to finish it. How do I have the ability to finish it? And we have the ability to finish it even on a very low level. Because the hard work's been done. So our value closer to the coming of the Messiah is less. I don't have to do more. I have to do what I need to do. But I don't have to go back to what previous generations went through and what they did at their level. Not at all. Because they put into action a lot in this world. They brought things to where we are now. For whatever reason, they didn't merit to bring the Messiah. Okay. But us in this cream puff generation, we can. All we have to do is continue what we're doing in the right way. Do a lot of chesed, a lot of acts of loving kindness. You know, do a lot of mitzvahs. Do as many mitzvahs as we can. That's going to turn the tide. Mind-boggling idea that we in this generation can actually bring the Messiah. It's a mind-boggling idea. Because we're going to think what I do doesn't matter. And we're on such a low level, even if it's true. But if you're stepping and walking on the coattails of others that brought us to this point, even if they couldn't bring us, quote unquote, into the promised land and bring the Messiah, we have that ability just through our own actions. A person's going to say, look at all the terrible things going on in the Jewish people, 70% intermarriage at least. In some places, 13.5 million Jews don't know anything about Torah mitzvahs, can't even say Kriyat Shema or know the Aleph base. That's pretty bad. But you got at least 10% of Jews doing the right thing, going in the right direction, expanding by leaps and bounds. Yeah, yeshivas bursting into seams, girls' schools, communities. Unbelievable. Yeah, we're still at a low level. That doesn't change. Or that hasn't changed. But we're perpetuating that to the next generation. Even at our level. So that's huge. You're losing 9% of world Jewry. True. They may never come back. Even if the Messiah comes, they may never come back. They may get spiritually wiped off the face of the map. As tragic as that is, whoever's going to be left is going to be the real deal. Whoever's going to be left, that remnant is going to be strong as fire. The ones that survive. So that is tremendous power. That is tremendous power to bring the Messiah, even if we think our actions don't matter. Even if we think our actions are small. In God's eyes today, if people can keep Torah mitzvahs, huge. Huge. Yeah, especially what's going on in the world. Especially the pull of the street in the outside world. The fact that a person can concentrate, can learn. But we're not learning like we did in previous generations, okay? But the fact that a person can learn it all, that a person can fathom, can understand, can even pass it down successfully to their children at whatever level is huge. 90% of world Jewry is not doing that. 90% of world Jewry probably going to be wiped off the face of the map. But the ones that are going to be left are going to be the ones that are going to be strong. Ones that are going to keep Torah and mitzvahs no matter what. They're the ones that are most are nefesh. Yeah, that do tremendous self-sacrifice for the sake of Torah and mitzvah. In previous generations, it doesn't look like much. But in this generation, we are the Avraham and Sarahs of the world. We're fighting against the tide. Fighting against the whole world. Just to keep Torah mitzvahs. That's not going to have any pull upstairs. God is going to look at that and say, oh, but your mitzvahs aren't worth anything. Look what level you're on. No. God's going to take it for what it is. But it's a huge thing. It's a huge thing we can keep Torah mitzvahs. It's a huge thing we know how to make blessings. We know how to keep Shabbos. We're on a much lower level. Okay. So we have room to grow. But the fact that we can keep it and stay away from evil and try and do the right thing in God's eyes, that's even greater than what the previous generations did. Even greater. I can say even greater if we're on a much lower level. Because the trials and tribulations are much different. Much, much different than what we have today. We're surrounded by it. Surrounded by immorality, nivul peh, people curse, other things. So many different things. And there are people still raising families, big families. And they're keeping, the vast majority, keeping Torah. Mitzvah is huge. You know, it's huge for this generation. Don't make any mistake. You know, previous generations have us beat, 10 times over. Comes to knowledge and other things. But we're the ones that have the ability to bring close to the Gula, to bring close to the redemption. Yeah, but it's only because of what our previous generations did. But now we're in this generation. We have the ability to solidify it, finish it, and hopefully bring the Messiah speedily in our days. I want to remind everyone I have a class on duties of the heart every Tuesday, 9 o'clock Eastern time. 2 Q&As, Tuesday and Thursday, 10 o'clock Eastern time, 5 o'clock Israel time. Perkei Avos, Ethics of Our Fathers, every Saturday, 2:30 Eastern time, 9:30 Israel time. Sunday, Book of Leviticus chapter 16. Still in chapter 16, 9 o'clock Eastern time, 4 o'clock Israel time. Noahide Nations, finishing up the Noahide Laws every Sunday, 2:30 Eastern time, 9:30 Israel time, and then we're going to go on to Duties of the Heart. And I have conversion classes. Anyone interested in any of this, find me on Facebook at Mike Chaim Kaufman, or be on Orthodox Conversion Judaism, or orthodoxconversion.com, or be on Orthodox Conversion Judaism on YouTube. Take a look at my YouTube channel. I have classes on Torah portion of the week, Perkei Avos, Ethics of Our Fathers, Q&As. We got controversial issues. If anyone has any questions, find me. You can send me an email, rabbichaimkaufman@gmail.com. RBBICHAIMCOFFMAN @gmail.com.